feel like Kobe in the fourth quarter.
This is the Dane Moore NBA podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks, coming at you Saturday night. It's July 12th. We are recording this right after the Wolves' second Summer League game. We'll, of course, get to that. Yesterday, ARod-Lore and Alex Rodriguez had an introductory press conference. We'll get into that a little bit. That feels like a long time ago. Day 3 in Vegas. Kyle, hi. How's the energy?
Brought to you by Sugar-Free Red Bull. It's great. You touching the phone screen and being like, "What day is it?" Was perfect. Yeah, day 3. It's been a lot of fun. It's been really busy. 2 really good basketball games for whatever good is for NBA Summer League, and then yesterday was a full day of media scrums and kind of getting to know the new ownership group on another level. And we've had them on the pod a couple times, but really busy weekend for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I think we got to talk about tonight's game because I haven't told you this yet. I texted a buddy. That was the most fun I've had watching a basketball game in like years. And that's depressing as fuck.
Yeah, Kyle said to me at one point, he goes, my ADD is fully in gear right now. I mean, but Nas and Ant were sitting right in front of us.
Where do you want to start? The answer I want to start is with Anthony Edwards, because that game we'll get into and all the players. Talk about Amari Bailey a little bit, but Naz Reid, if you missed the game, walked into the arena by himself, and a 5 more years chant started as if it was a former president. And then when Ant walked in, it just became chaos. He was super into the game. He kind of has that aura. Talking to Kevin Hansen post-game, it was awesome that those guys show up for the young guys and support them. But, man, it was a good reminder of we're really focused on the young guys. And yesterday we were really focused on Mark and Alex and what this organization is going to do moving forward. And not to be cliche, but it was a good reminder tonight that everything revolves around 5.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I did have like them actually yesterday at the press conference too of it's been interesting following Ant's career, obviously, and just watching him kind of ascend into not only like a star player, but a star like person. He's a really, really famous person. He walks into rooms and everybody turns, and you know that wasn't the case. His first, obviously he's the number 1 pick, and a lot comes with that, but it does really feel like he's totally turned this corner into being one of the most famous people in sports right now.
And he's one of the best players in the league. But whenever I saw him tonight, I just was reminded he was in that weird year where he didn't get to play in this, and he would have had so much fun. So again, that was cool tonight.
Well, because the guy came over, he was like, "Man, your career started here. Appreciate you coming back." And he walks away and goes, "I didn't play in Summer League." His career did not start here.
There are probably 100 videos online right now. If you're missing out on what Dane and I are talking about, Anthony Edwards showed up at halftime and basically dominated everything. He was the loudest player in the arena. He signed an autograph for a Nuggets fan, and the Nuggets fan goes, "I know you don't play for the Nuggets, but I still think you're a really good player." And then Ant had this really cool moment, really touching if you got kids, and he signs his jersey and he goes back into the stands. Another fan yells out, "Ant, that's a Nuggets fan." And Ant goes, "That's okay. I be busting their ass all the time." And that concludes Anthony Edwards' corner here at 2025 NBA Summer League.
It was cool though, and to see, like, I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr. is older than Ant.
Yeah,
like you forget that, like a lot older than Ant. But I asked TJ about that after the game, and they do have this young core, right? And Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are not that much older than Terrence Shannon Jr. and all these guys that, Matt Lloyd's on the broadcast talking about, we got these young up and coming prospects at the back of the roster right now. And they're Naz, Jaden, and Ant's age largely.
Yep.
And Terrence Shannon Jr., Jaden Clark, Rob Dillingham, all those guys. And I found myself sitting there distracted and thinking about the future of like, there's a lot more to come. And the guys that were on the floor, probably a couple of them are going to be a part of the future and be playing in real playoff games with Anthony Edwards. Sometime Terrence already did last year, but I don't know. I was thinking about that more than the game.
I was thinking about a lot of different things more than that game. I think it's an actually good segue into talking about that game and some of the performances, because to me, the star of that game was Terrence Shannon Jr., who, as Ant and Naz were sitting right with us for that whole game, we should mention that Nickeil Alexander-Walker also showed up, and they you could see the relationship and the chemistry those guys have. I think Nikhil might have been showing them the house he bought in Atlanta on video. But I say all of that because to bring it full circle after the game, you had said this to me before we got to talk to TJ, is like his defense was turned up a notch.
Yeah. So they were playing defense on the basket right in front of us in the first half, when I was actually watching the game. And in all seriousness, it was standing out to me, like, because he had a little bit of the last year when he played, some of the game plan discipline, not really knowing where to go, but he just has some of that NBA now instinctual defense stuff, like getting off my guy, I'm taking 2 steps into the middle of the lane, accepting challenges, like a big guy posting him up, the Day'Ron Holmes, one of the first possessions, and he took the bump without giving space. And I'm like way in on Terrence Shannon Jr., the offensive player and the transition player, like that. I think that is a for sure. But what is going to make him a potentially very rich man at some point, and maybe a starter in the league, is the ability to do both sides of the ball. And, at 25, it shouldn't take him 4 or 5 years to become a good defender in the league like it does for a lot of guys. I think that's a big part of what Terrence needs to do next season to kind of own that 8th spot in the rotation. And when I asked him about it after the game, he brought that up. He's like, that's what Nikhil did.
Yep, exactly.
So I need to do that. And I don't know. I don't want to get like too caught in summer league and reminding myself he's 25, but I don't know, man. I've been coming to these, you have too, for a long time, and watching a lot of players in this setting that have gone on to be really good players, and a lot of them in this setting did not look as good as Terrence Shannon Jr. looks to me in this setting. I haven't watched a ton of the other games, like you said, we've been really busy, but it's been the player, like, biases aside, that's probably stood out the most to me of anyone that I've watched here in my time in summer league. And like, I don't know that the Nikhil hole is going to be that big of an issue, because I feel that Terrence is going to be able to fill a lot of that. And then you have the little, like, okay, we can get some Jalen Clark in here for some point of attack defense. Maybe you're going to go with Rob playing 2 point guards at the same time, whatever it might be. But I'm ready to give Terrence, like, that 8th man 18, 20 minutes a night and expecting him to do something with it.
We're not doing Western Conference power rankings on July 12th from Vegas, but just something to put a feather in your cap or kind of put a pin in it, is that it is one of the reasons why,
those are different things.
Yeah, I thought that too, as I said it, that I'm not super concerned with the lack of exciting transactions during this offseason, which we're still in. You know what I mean? Like, we always think like, okay, they just brought back Nas and Julius, and they lose Nikhil, and as they start doing the team previews on national pods, I'm like, yeah, they lost this one guy and they didn't really gain anyone. And
well, I mean, we're having those conversations with people here, like the other beat writers, like, yeah, so what did the Wolves do again? Did they do anything? And I'm like, well, no, they lost Nikhil, but they did re-sign Nas. Yeah. But like, that's kind of been harnessed in my mind of like, people, the Wolves have been like flyover country of the NBA offseason. And if Terrence is what I'm talking about, and Rob is ready to take another step, and Jalen Clark is too, then I think it is fair to say they're somewhat being slept on, or what they could be, I think.
Yeah, I would. I don't know if these players have any attributes that they share, but it kind of reminds me of, like, I was talking to someone from the Nuggets, like the Christian Braun thing of when they lose Bruce Brown and they kind of start to just give him more reps. And I just think, to bring it full circle with Terrence,
I like that comp.
That's going to be Terrence's, like, I just think the world is that kid's oyster. And yeah, he's an older player. He should be dominating at this, by the way. Like, he's so physical. He loves contact. He had that one tonight where I don't think he was happy that he didn't get a foul called, and then he like looked pissed off, and he just sprinted up and down the court, and he got a
rebound. We were talking to each other, we're like, oh, he's angry.
Yeah,
he's angry about angry. A minute later, he had that big dunk.
Yeah. So he is, to me, he was kind of the star of summer league last year, especially in that first game. Mm-hmm. He admitted after game 1, I mean, that was kind of the Johan coming out party, but he said, like, I didn't play that well. But again, The defense, you're way more in tune on that stuff, and I thought it was a really good observation. But for me, the one that stands out is he leads the team with 24 points, but he took 14 threes and he hit 6 of them.
Jeez, he took 14.
Oh, he couldn't let that thing touch his fingers fast enough before he got it up. So I think that's his role, right?
Mhm.
Like, can you space the floor? And can you play defense? And then the thing that maybe he'll give you that's a bonus of like, hey, we didn't have that last year, is that he might be, and no disrespect to Anthony Edwards, he might be the best player on this team in transition. Just get him the ball with a head of steam and let him go to the rim.
He's gonna go.
And he's gonna go.
Yeah, to bring it back to the Ant and Nas thing, that they're hyping up like Rocco Zakarsky and some of the younger guys. No, but stick with me. Like, they weren't doing that with TJ because I do think they view TJ as like a known sort of commodity, whereas obviously some of the younger guys like Rocco and Johan and Rob, they still they need to grow. They need to grow to be able to play. And that just kind of struck me too of like, I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is like in some of the core players' minds already part of the, maybe not part of the core, but part of the rotation for sure. I think that stuff matters.
So the tweet you had the other night, which is like a ceremonial thing you give to a player who hoops at this type of exhibition series, but Terrence Shannon Jr. is too good to play in Summer League. But talking to people around the team, I really think they want to win this thing. I don't think this team has a lot of banners. I don't know if you get a banner for winning Summer League. That might be embarrassing, actually, to think about it. But they want to win it. And I would expect, again, like, we never know what happens. The guys get dinged up or whatever. But I think he's going to continue to get opportunities in these next couple of games to continue to work on stuff. And, game one, whatever, was a little weird. And some guys played well and some guys didn't. But tonight, again, the defense and then the 14 threes for me, like getting them up and hitting 6 of them. I just thought he's been one of the best players we've seen. We've watched a lot of guys play it this week.
I was talking to somebody from the team after the game, and I was like, is Terrence going to keep playing? Like, does he need to? And he said to me, he's like, what else do you want him to do? What it was going to rest up from the season? He didn't really play during the season. Like, this is good, even if he's a level, a level above this. 6 made threes is a big number. I remember when I was in Portland and we were sitting there watching warmups, and I think we talked about this after the game on the pod after the game that night. And this is probably, I do this, like, over analyze shots and stuff in an open gym setting, but it was Portland. I think it was November, maybe something like that. And I was like, I don't think I love Terrence's shot. Like, is what, and I didn't. It wasn't consistent. Wasn't going in very much. It really didn't seem like that important. It didn't seem like a priority of his workout, if that makes sense. And so I was kind of like, well, all right. So then the ceiling becomes, you're one of those forceful attackers. You maybe can play defense. You can get in transition, but are you going to be the guy that's, Josh Giddey,
Wendell White?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like left open, and the shot looks extremely confident, and it's like, for whatever it's worth, to my opinion, like, over the course of the year of 12 months, I think it's improved. And as it should. He's probably taken thousands and thousands and thousands of threes over the course of the year. And that's we do this a lot. We did this with Leonard Miller and Rob and Jalen Clark the last game, of what you can be expected of from your 3-point shot is such an important thing in the league today, from the way that you're guarded, from the way that it allows your team to play offense. And if Terrence is one of those guys that you need to be closing out hard to, okay, pump and go, or it's just that somebody you got to stay closer to, well, that helps. And that gap helps not there, and everyone on the team to maximize Ant needs to be the best version of shooter that they can be, because this offense needs more space. And because it's just going to always have spacing limitations due to Rudy and the way that Rudy lives in the dunker spot, that, as he does. And if Terrence has a shot, like a jump shot, this could be a really, really important piece to this team this season, and I'm very sold.
And again, not to dumb it down, but this is really important to me because we've brought it up before in the past. It was when he caught the ball, right? When someone would get into the paint and then kick it to him, whether it be summer league or the limited opportunities he had in his rookie season. I was always curious to see, as soon as the ball hit his fingers, what was his mentality?
Yeah.
And it was always to get the ball and immediately like take a step forward or go.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if it would be better on a rewatch when you go watch in the morning, but like 14 threes, he caught a lot of the ball and just, I'm getting it up.
Right.
And that's got to, I mean, I'm sure that's coaching. I'm sure they're telling him like, hey, we don't need you to go get free throws in summer league. Like, let it rip, get game action, game reps. But that will be, tonight was a cool game for Terrence, and it was a cool opportunity for us and Ant and Nas on stuff. But it was actually, like, to me, a real thing of that's what's hiding out in behind the 8 starters curtain.
Yeah.
Right? Don't punch it, Jaden. Like, that's what's hiding behind there is like, this is someone who maybe didn't have a sexy offseason full of different signings and trades, but there are times, it's kind of what I said at the deadline too. It's like they got a lot of guys, and he, to me, is by far of the young pups. He is, and he is older. He is at the head of that whole kind of list of the second or third timeline.
Or third. To get to Dillingham, let's grab a break first. Let y'all know that today's show is brought to you by Your Home Improvement Company. And I don't know, summer's like half over. You maybe had that home improvement project. You're like, we're getting this done this summer. It's not too late. Go to Your Home Improvement Company. If you have any sort of home improvement project, they do have the buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free deal we tell you about all the time. They have the 30% off bathroom renovations deals going on. It's done by certified professionals. Whatever the project is, Your Home Improvement Company offers great financing deals as well that requires 0 money down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2026. Look, we know not every single one of you have a home improvement project that you have to do now, but there are some of you. And if you're going to get it done, obviously it means a lot to us. If you take care of the people who are taking care of us. So call them. Contact Your Home Improvement Company by calling 866-777-YHIC or by going to yourhomeimprovementco.com. Your Home Improvement Company, where it's your home made better. Kyle, today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Do you have the box score up in front of you?
I do.
They had Terrence Shannon Jr.'s number at 18.5 for the first game for points, 18.5 for the second game. And he's crushing that, you know, and it was 1.5 made threes. That was when I was like, I mean, I didn't think he was going to shoot 14. Didn't he shoot 6 or 7 in the first game too? Yep. Like, he's going to get those up. If that number sticks at 1.5 made threes, I think that's a great one for Terrence Shannon Jr. What did Dillingham finish with?
He finished with 15 points, 9 assists, 3 steals.
So his was 15.5 points for this game. It was 16.5 for the first game. So he's been less than that the last 2 games. And this is just what Prize Picks is. It's, you know, you're kind of picking up on trends, getting reads on what it might be. The only 3 Wolves players that they've had up for the three games are Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr., and Leonard Miller. But if you're watching these games, $5, put together a lineup. It's a little fun something to, if you need a little extra to watch the game, it's a little fun way to play some daily fantasy there. So all you need to do is put 2 or more picks in your lineup to win. If you don't yet have a Prize Picks account, go to prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks app. All you have to do is put in promo code DANE when you sign up, and you will receive $50 in lineups and free lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, prizepicks.com, Prize Picks app, promo code DANE when you create that account. Let's do a little Dillingham. That's going to be, I think, when Summer League is over, that's going to be the big kind of topic when we're in August and there's no topics. What do we feel about what do we feel about but in all seriousness of like, what do we feel about Rob for next season? What do we feel about the point guard rotation? Is he for sure in there? You know, we talked after the last game, and I think a lot of other people had, you know, were rightly frustrated with some of the turnovers. That's an issue that has been an issue for Rob, and he turned it over a lot in the first game. He hasn't blown us away in these first 2 Summer League games. That's just what it is. I do see growth off of the last Summer League from him.
Yep.
For sure. But this is a little, I don't want to say it's getting dicey or anything like that, but it feels in the balance, you know, of like, which way is this Rob thing going to go in the kind of semi short term? What's Finch going to be feeling like when September rolls around and they have their initial, training camp? Who do we think is going to be in the rotation? All that sort of stuff. What Rob has done in these first 2 games and what he does in the rest of the games that he plays in is going to be somewhat instructive there. And it would be good to see him, like last Summer League, kind of catch a better rhythm in the later games in it. So to end on a high note, even if I don't think what he's done in the first 2 games is a low note, I want to see this continue to get better over the course of the next week from him.
This is kind of a weird answer, but I think if his first 2 games of this Summer League were his first 2 games of his rookie year Summer League,
sure,
I would just feel better. And I'm not down on him. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is on him is that yesterday specifically, like, we have just been around pretty much everyone associated with this organization, and everyone I could talk to, I'd just be like, what do you think about Rob? Like, well, like on the record, off the record, what do you think? And the belief in him in this organization is very much there. And I like that's reporting. Like they still believe in him. And I think they're trying to now, and Kevin Hansen mentioned it 2 or 3 times tonight during his post-game media availability, is like they're trying to have him run a team.
Yep.
And I don't know, because I'm not familiar with what he did at Kentucky and at Kanye University. Like I don't know if he's been tasked with running a team. And to kind of talk about Rob, but to go back to Terrence for a second, like, okay, you lose Nikhil, but maybe you just have something even better that can fill those minutes, and that's going to be awesome. But that's not really the biggest question mark for this team. The biggest question mark for this team is who is going to play point guard and who is going to, maybe not start. That's, God forbid, probably going to be Mike Conley still, but who is going to, can they find more dynamic options at that? Talking to C. Hines a little bit last night, and he was saying, like, if we couldn't get into the paint against OKC, right. And that's been something they've been preaching to a lot of these guys in their workouts, is that he literally said, he's like, can you imagine if we could have had more guys than just Ant that could have got into the paint against OKC, what that would have done to the Thunder's defense? He's like, that would have been our best chance, and we couldn't do it. And I think that's something that I'm keeping an eye on with Rob, is can he get into the paint?
It's a foundational, like, pretext for running a concept-based offense like Finch does.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been a problem, and why I don't think, like, Finch's offense has fully flowered, honestly, ever, like in these 4 years, is because they have on every team Finch has coached, they've lacked a real second and third guys that can break the paint and get in there and make decisions, make shots. And outside of Ant and Julius, well, now it's kind of TJ and Rob are the other guys that need to be doing that. Rob, just by nature of his position, is going to probably have a greater volume of those opportunities, just because he's going to get high screens or he's going to take guys off the dribble in isolation, probably more than Terrence Shannon will be asked to do. But it's if that hits, like if both of them can do that this season and they're the 8th and 9th man in the rotation, I do think that might have like a bigger impact on the overall like health of the offense that Finch wants to run. And that, that kind of changes the ceiling of this team. It changes it, at least in the the regular season. It changes the idea potentially. We don't really think about this team as one that can be a top 5 offense, even, they're kind of like a maybe 10th type of team. That's what you would think of them as. And with them no longer being the best defense in the NBA, that offense has to come up, to be able to maintain this level of winning that they've done for the past 2 seasons. And that wasn't really Nikhil's game either. Right. He could get into the lane a little bit, but you were never like, yes, go ahead, Nikhil, cook in the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, with Rob, that's what we're talking about. Is he's got one of those matchups where he can break down that individual defender over and over again. I think about like the 2 guys that I always felt like give Jaden McDaniels, like the only 2 guys that give Jaden McDaniels real trouble are De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a speed thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're lower to the ground. They're faster than, not that Jaden's slow, but Rob could cause that problem to like a lot of different good big wing defenders like Jaden around the league. Now the handle's got to be tight. You can't have the turnovers and all that, but that's where if it gets special with Rob, it's through the speed and it's through the ability to score from that floater range, find lobs from that floater range, or just collapse the defense. And what comes off of that, I think it's a need. I think the team needs that from somewhere, and Rob is one of the best candidates to do that. And we haven't seen it here yet, and that doesn't portend great for what is going to come in the season. But it's in his game, you know. It's just when is it going to show up consistently?
This trip to Vegas for me has been so fascinating to get to know just a lot of what people are thinking behind the scenes on Rob. Because like here's an example. You slept until 10 yesterday, which is great for you. When you woke up yesterday, did you think differently about what we talked about in game one about Rob? Because there, a lot of people like, I can't believe you thought he played well and stuff. And maybe we were just excited to be here. But to me, it was like, now that I know what they want him to do, you mentioned our bro retreat in Portland when we had that big fight, and we're like, I think the young guys should play.
Yeah.
And I think a message from the fan base or a message from people that really follow this team is that you got to give Rob opportunities. And I think I'm ready to put an end to that on last year of the reason he didn't get opportunities like some of these other guys. And I know 8 starters frustrate everyone, is the analogy I used back in March of Chris Finch and Tim Conley are driving a car at 70 miles an hour and they're not going to slow down.
Yeah.
And they need you to, if you want to get on it, jump on at 70 miles an hour. And I do not think, and it sucks. And I think now he's gotten a little bigger. He looks to me physically much different than he did last year, even though he's a small guy.
Yeah, like 5'8" pounds, maybe.
Yeah, which is big for him.
Yeah.
And if he can get, I mean, you said De'Aaron
5'0".
Fox and Tyrese Maxey, those guys are short and fast, but they're also a little thicker.
They could take a bump.
Yeah, and again,
and he can't. That's what he can't do right now.
He can't take a bump right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think you and I are like pivoting this into like we're selling stock.
No.
If anything, it's a hold, or I'm kind of buying it because now I kind of see what the organization envisions with him. They need him to be good, but he wasn't good last year in practices and stuff because again, he's 19 and he hasn't had these opportunities to do this type of stuff. So it is a tough balance. I have learned by talking to these people of like, can't just send him down to Iowa. Like we kind of do need him up here because we also don't have a ton of support behind Mike. And now this year, I think they're going to have to say like, maybe we'll slow the car down to 65 miles an hour, but can you hop on it at that speed? Because they're not going to slow this thing down to let Rob have a ton of developmental time because they have so much talent that's trying to win games right now. So I don't know. 9 assists tonight. He probably should have had 14 on some really good kicks to the corner. Some guys just didn't really hit shots, but knowing what I know now, I think this organization still believes in the kid that they moved up to get and use future draft assets to invest in. And with that, it's going to change how I kind of view the rest of his summer league, and then hope that he does kind of get a little bigger and then tighten up he has such a great handle, but it's also sometimes just super loose.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then I thought, if you remember what you asked him, but the turnover question you asked him, I thought was, remember his answer? I thought that was like a growth of his mental side of it, where you said, turnovers, you had 7 in game 1. And how do you, if you miss shots, you just go back in the gym and get more shots up. But if you have turnovers, like a turnover problem, how do you fix that?
Actually curious.
And he would not have given you this answer 12 months ago. He said, you have to go and just watch a ton of film with your coaches and figure out, like, did I not see the guy in the corner, or was it, he mentioned wrestling for a ball in the paint, which he did on game 1, and like they call it a travel or something. So I don't know if he was a film guy 12 months ago. Who is at 19 years old? Ant wasn't at 19 years old. Ant didn't really watch any films that weren't on Netflix. So I think that is another, I'm more excited in buying into Rob Dillingham because I've got to talk to him and talk to his coaches and get to know the mental side of it. And I will say this with a bullet, Dane, for Rob Dillingham to be good, it's all mental because the skills are still there and he's going to get bigger. He's going to fill out, but if he can figure out some of the stuff that Ant has figured out, and back to your Ant thing, when Ant's like not championing TJ because he kind of knows, Ant's still blowing a ton of smoke up Rob's ass in a way of like, how I'm trying to lead this kid. And I think that relationship is going to be something to monitor because I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think he's been coached hard, and I think that probably like frustrated him, but I think it
also pays off.
Yeah, I think
Anthony Edwards was coached hard.
Mm-hmm. And like, what can you say if you're Rob Dillingham and Finch is coaching you hard, and he's also
Coaching Nas.
yelling yelling at Nas to get their ass in gear too? You know, like that's just Finch's coaching style. You know, and I do get the sense that, like you said, talking to some of the people that we did, that is like beginning to resonate. And it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like in high school you take like math and science and English or whatever, and then in college you get like more specific types of science and math and those sort of things. And I think that's kind of part of like getting your degree in the league too, where some of these things like film and whatever, like they hadn't even really thought about it. They hadn't had those experiences of really, really breaking it down. In the NBA, you really do need to break it down because it's a game that's won and lost on the margins, particularly if you're, a player who's on the margins of the rotation. Those are going to be the things that ultimately move the needle. And I go back to him giving a shit about defense last year.
Yep.
Like that to me is as good of an indicator as anything that he's going to give a shit about improving the things on the margins. Now, are you getting the dividends from them yet? No. And so maybe, like you said, if people thought we were gassing him up after the first game when he had 7 turnovers, like I know he had 7 turnovers and that's disappointing. And I said that at the time, but the marginal things I do think are resonating with him, and that doesn't happen with all players. It's not just like a rite of passage and you get it and now here you go, you're good. I got a lot of guys, particularly small guards, bucket getters. We can go through some of these more recent drafts and lotteries and James Bouknights and Nick Smith, guys like that who, they played for the Hornets, like didn't get that meticulous nature, I don't think, early in their careers, and now they're floundering. Like if Rob flounders, it's not going to be because he wasn't coached on how to do it, and it's not going to be because he didn't listen, because I get the sense that he is, listening, even if he had frustration at times last season of not playing and all of those kind of growing pains sort of things. But yeah, I don't think it makes sense to sell any stock in him right now, because there's a big opportunity for him on this team at that position this season, and probably a huge opportunity at point guard 12 more months from now when Mike Conley's contract is over, maybe his career is over. Rob's a big swing character in this whole thing.
But that's the fork in the road that they're at. Not a fork in the road, but like they know too that is their biggest hole on this roster, or try to, again, back to C. Hines, like who else can get us into the paint against OKC? But Tim Conley and Chris Finch, whether you like it or not, or I like it or not, they're not going to give young guys minutes on an established team now that has an Anton and Jaden and Naz and Julius and Rudy. They're not going to give the young guys minutes unless they deserve it.
Yep. I do want to save some time to do ownership stuff, but just maybe like real quick on like Beringer and Clark. Like
Dane,
it wasn't the same Beringer game.
Amari Bailey had 6 points. No, I actually thought he kind of looked good. Yeah, the Beringer stuff pretty much non-existent, right? Like, I mean, I don't really remember. I think he finished with 7 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He was a team best plus 15 in summer league. I shouldn't be doing that, but just
that's the thing. Like he does little stuff.
And in the first half, when the Wolves are defending in front of us, there's just some tough shots. Like Denver just made some really nice high arcing shots.
Yeah, they challenged him, and I think they made good offensive plays against him. I didn't feel like he was like lay down rotations or flailing around. I think they made some tough shots on him, and we learned that he's not going to block every single shot that ever goes up, because it was trending in that direction in the first quarter of game 1.
I think I remember a couple of times where it's like, oh, he did what TJ talked about, where he was just jumping a little too much at stuff. And again, right, like,
sure.
And this always happens in summer league. It's almost a guarantee that a rookie pops off in game 1 and then game 2. Like, I don't think Denver was like scouting them from the win, but I think they were like, hey, make sure, when you go at him, a little higher arc, or like he blocked 7 shots the other day. Like he's on a scouting report now. Yep. So I don't know if you remember this in the second half when the Wolves were coming at us, but defending on the other side. There was one possession specifically where all of a sudden he was out on the perimeter And the only reason I know this is
Yeah.
because Ant called it out.
Yeah, he did. He's like,
And all of a sudden,
"He
I'm
can
pretty sure
move."
Ant said, quote, big motherfucker can move. And he was blown away too. And like
Yeah.
that was something we talked about in game one of like, well, we never got to see him kind of get switched on the perimeter and like how was
Sure.
how was that?
That's a good point.
And he did for that one possession, according to someone who knows basketball way better than I do, and Anthony Edwards.
He got on a switch.
Yeah, he got on a switch and
Move.
big motherfucker could move. Like it was impressive. So I want to see more of that. You can't really like scheme that up or call a play, but like, can you get him on the perimeter to guard a little bit more of that? Because again, the fluidity of how his body moves is something that I know excites everyone in this organization.
Yeah, I do think whenever Johan starts playing, like I do think that's going to be part of their defense. Remember before Rudy, the high wall year?
Yep.
You know, and they with Nas and Cat, and they basically blitzed every, pick and roll. Or they willingly had the big go up there to, to switch it. They didn't just play back and drop all the time. And I think Johan's going to be a good drop defender in the way that Rudy is. But when this crystallizes for him, when it crystallizes for him, I think that's part of it too, is you can diversify your defensive coverages with your five. And that's like a Bam Adebayo thing, like a lot that doesn't, there's not a lot of, and there's no guarantee he's going to be able to do it, but it's physically within his skill set, to Ant's point, that he can move out there, which allows you to, that'd be a pretty cool weapon to be able to throw out there sometimes. And if you're playing against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay, we're not going to just have Rudy drop back the whole time and let him kill us from mid-range. We're going to blitz it. We're going to get it out of his hands. All right, Johan's got to hold him for a second here. Okay, like that's why he was drafted 17th. Not because he can block the shots that we saw in the first game. He has no offensive game. They drafted him because he's a good defensive player that can do it in a multitude of ways, like already kind of. And if it crystallizes, that's how you become like a special defender, an all defensive team defender. And that's why it is fair to say he has this really high defensive upside, because we're not just talking about him being good at one thing defensively. He could be good at a lot of different things defensively. And I think that's something we're going to leave Summer League, excited about. And we're going to leave Summer League like, yeah, he's going to disappear at times, because if he's not getting the lob, if he's not being set up on offense, he's going to be like Rudy in the playoffs, where it's like the big that's in the dunker spot and sets screens, but isn't really a part of the offense. Maybe that'll develop over time too, but should be excited about the defensive versatility. That's the thing.
Terrence Shannon Jr. has to dominate on both ends of Summer League because he's 25, or I think he turns 25 or 26 this month, or I think 25. But he has to dominate because he's older and he has way more reps and he's played a lot more basketball. Rob, I think, can have some highs and lows. Like we'll point out the lows, we'll point out the highs. With Johan, I just care about, as a rookie who picked up basketball 3.5, 4 years ago, I only care about the highlights right now. And that's not glazing him or whatever. It's just he has so much. I am really intrigued, and I think they hit a home run with that pick. And I also don't think he has a chance to play next year. Not because Chris Finch is his coach and get the jokes off, but because he has so much still to learn, and that's totally fine. Like, they will coach him up. But getting on the perimeter for that one possession, I thought was not special, but interesting. And then he did have, if you remember this, he had this rebound where he just went up so high. And it was like, again, that's stuff that they just don't really have on this team. All the other stuff and the schemes and the diet and the offensive game, like he didn't even, his 7 points tonight, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, but just kind of tip dunks or like lobs and stuff. No push shot attempts or any of that stuff. He has so far to go. But back to kind of Terrence and even Rob, I think they have, I don't think Tim Connelly brings in these good guys because he wants them to like be awesome in community service. I think he wants them to be very open to being coachable. And the one thing I heard about this kid is that whether it be the Chicago, 100-year-old Jim, whatever, he is so open to, if you tell me to do this, I will just do it. And I will do it 1,000 times. And I think that's really exciting for this franchise. He is a 7-foot ball of clay.
Yep. He is.
Jalen Clark too. Jalen Clark, just a thing on him.
Yeah.
Well, just because like he's like kind of the fourth guy in this mix.
Take a deep breath. It's okay if you miss a couple threes. Like
he did the prayer emoji.
Yeah.
Twice.
He missed 2 and he's like, but I guess I think he went 0 for 5 in the first game. But in all seriousness, like Jalen's got to hit shots to be able to be a rotation piece.
And he knows. I mean, it's so it's not cliche, but like he knows that.
Yeah, well, that's why he's doing the prayer emoji.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he knows that's the thing. That's because the rest of his offensive game is limited. Like that is what he did have that nice one. It was the left corner right in front of us, kind of pump, sidestep. Like his mechanically is pretty sharp, with his footwork and release. When 12 months ago, his jump shot, remember that at this? We were like joking about him like dipping, ducking down every time
Kinda the Draymond backpack thing.
Yeah, it was weird. But he put in the work on the shot, and I think he is a confident shooter. But like I think he missed 5 in the first game, and then he missed his first 2, and is like going a little stir crazy in his mind about the shot. But
he might be shooting right now. Like he seems like the type of guy that like he might be in a gym shooting at 11 o'clock at night in Vegas.
Yeah.
But with him, and I think it really is ironic to like kind of go in these different directions and think about the fact that Nikhil stopped by tonight's game to see his friends when the Hawks weren't playing in the other gym or playing the Wolves. Because I had thought this too. Like I get lazy with my comps sometimes. Like, hey, Jalen Clark, he'll be, he's cheaper version of Nikhil. That's not true. They're both awesome defenders. There are moments where I am dumb, where I think sometimes Jalen Clark might even be a better on-ball defender. He is such a dog. And the shot will
relentless.
Great word. And Nikhil, found himself and got his bag, 6 years into the league? Like It took him a while. But the one thing, and this is why I am just so excited about the Terrence Shannon Jr. thing, or like believing in Rob or buying into Rob, is I don't think Jalen at this point in his game has it or is being asked to do it. He doesn't have a lot of playmaking. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to have the Nikhil, hey, can you play backup point guard?
No.
That's not. And again, it took Nikhil a couple of years, but I think Nikhil even had that coming in from the draft. But Jalen Clark is, to me, the quintessential. If you're going to be good, you are going to be the 3 and the D guy.
Yeah, that's often like reductive when we do that with some guys.
A lot of money, but like that's what he needs to be.
Yeah, that is what it is with him. And I think Finch already, he said it last year. Like he already believes in that, and he doesn't make bad decisions on offense. He's very low maintenance. Rocco Zakarski, thought he had a nice stint too, but that's all I got for.
Yeah, a great family. They're all super tall. And then
that was the funniest one when Ant in the game said something to, he was like, "Come on, Rocco," and Rocco just turned and like stopped playing for a second and just smiled. He didn't say anything. It was that was my favorite Ant moment of because that's probably sick if you're Rocco Zakarski. Like that's Anthony Edwards. Like
dapped me up and it was sick. Like not Rocco. I was like, it was awesome. So and he was again, it was a cool leadership moment from him. Yeah, Rocco. I mean, the biggest takeaway from him is that you can't coach size, or you can't he is just so tall. He's probably a long-term, backup center. He's got a project. He's going to crush it, I'm sure, in Iowa. But he's a two-way guy, and it's important to, another one tonight, too, that I've never really known. I know we talked about him the other day, but,
Tristan Newton played well.
I thought he played really well. And I was always kind of I kind of like him.
How does he play?
And I was just like, what does he do and stuff? And I think for him, and maybe it was just one game, but I think Tristan Newton has a jumper. I think he can be again, this is like the Nick Mullins for the Vikings. He is a 3rd or 4th or 5th emergency point guard. I'm not even talking in the rotation. He is break glass if all these other players miss the bus or have a DeAndre Ayton frozen driveway situation. But he can shoot and he can kind of get guys. He's got a little size too. So I don't know how we're doing a Tristan Newton segment now, but I didn't know much about him as a two-way guy. And the 3 two-way guys are.
Well, he's not signed yet.
Right. Okay.
He was a two-way guy last year. But yeah, he's here with an
project little point guard, like Dacian Nix without the flair and the cool stuff.
Right.
And then Jesse Edwards and Rocco. And you kind of see the vision. Yeah. This team is just, and maybe this is the perfect segue into new ownership, but this ownership group has brought in a front office and a coaching staff, or emboldened a coaching staff that has a ton of 2s and 3s and 4s and a ton of talent at those positions, but they got to figure out the point guard thing. And that's where Rob comes into play, and Mike, and maybe Tristan Newton. And then they just want to have a bunch of size at the center position. And they have 14 and a half feet of it here at Summer League.
Today's show is brought to you by Skims. Skims obviously has an expansive lineup in the women's clothing sector, but they have really expanded their product to the men's side of things, specifically men's underwear. And I've said this before, but what my favorite thing is about Skims is that it's a type of boxer brief that both works for going to the gym and just everyday life. I have the Stretch 5-inch boxer briefs. They work functionally a lot like the compression shorts I would wear back in the day when I played basketball, or the compression shorts I wear for running now. But these have the same functionality. They're just way more comfortable. That's what I think is unique about them. You can wear one pair to the gym and another pair after the gym because they are built for both. Like I said, I have the 5-inch stretch boxer briefs. Those are my personal favorite, but they also have a ton of cotton briefs amongst other styles. And I think you should try and find a pair that works for you. Be more comfortable. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and at Skims stores, and let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Skims is the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Did you know that workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health? It's because 61% of the global workforce is experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. To battle stress, most of us can't wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with a focus on wellness. A holiday is great, but it isn't a long-term solution to stress. Don't forget that therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day might bring. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's really convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/DaneMoore. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DaneMoore.
What did stand out most to you about the press conference that they did in here, or when we got to talk to them yesterday? What stood out most to you about the ownership whole deal the other day?
We're sitting in this giant ballroom. I haven't said this yet, but where the press conference was yesterday. And I used to, for my old job, like go to these cancer research conferences, and doctors would come up, and the first thing they had to do was list like basically the people that give them money, or like the things that kind of like, hey, just so you know, these are my disclosures of whatever. So for my disclosure, it's like, I know that I was so over the Glenn Taylor thing that I'm just kind of drinking the new ownership Kool-Aid. Very well aware of that. I have mirrors in my house, but getting to talk to them, not just at this, but like talk to them, just like you and me and them and a couple of guys, like I really do think the last 4 years was really tough on them, especially the last 18 months, right? The whole ordeal with, we wake up one day and you're in Denver and Glenn Taylor has taken the house off the market. I think I learned a lot that it was way harder on Mark, Lori, and Alex Rodriguez than I thought. But I also think it was the best thing that could have happened to them to have this go 4 years, because they learned enough that they are so against doing the new ownership syndrome thing.
Right. Well, it just interesting, when they bought the team back in 2021, I talked to them, a little bit back then, and they were just curious about the Minnesota market and the Timberwolves and stuff like that. And I remember talking to Mark Lori on the phone, and he did seem like very much like a new owner, and got to know Alex a little bit, and it was all new because it just was all new. And this, I know they just became the owners, but it isn't that sense. They know everybody in the organization. They do have like actual vision boards and stuff put together already for what this is going to look like in a whole bunch of different silos, with the team, about, a new stadium, building an organizational culture, and all of those things. And normally, like, Boston right now, or the Lakers or whatever, it's all new to the new ownership group, and they need to figure it out. And I do actually think it's interesting with Boston and LA. I don't know exactly details, but both the Celtics and Lakers are kind of keeping some main people from the previous ownership group and kind of doing the Timberwolves thing that works so smoothly, but like they are, and maybe I've thought about that over the course of time. Like maybe that is a weird like blessing in disguise of this for them and maybe for the organization overall is that those guys just have had the chance to learn, which doesn't guarantee they won't do something stupid, but I do think it decreases the odds significantly of doing your classic new ownership syndrome sort of thing that sets your team back because it was impulsive. I don't. They're so not new that impulsiveness. I'm not getting the sense of that. Of course, they're going to be impulsive in some ways of like they're going to want the stadium to feel new and different next season. Good. The stadium sucks. Like the in-arena experience has been the same forever. Like that, those things make changes, make your presence felt. Just don't do the Phoenix thing.
Yeah.
Don't try to completely change everything right away and shoot yourself in the foot while you're trying to do it. I get the sense that is a lot less likely than it would be with any, that would be any other ownership group that just came in and bought a team. I think it's a good thing.
I have so many thoughts. I mean, Mark and Alex both are very successful in their other businesses, and they have really good PR people. And every time they're faced with a question, whether it be at this press conference or talking to you and I, like they answer all the questions in like a way where I'm like, damn, they keep answering the questions the way I want them. But then getting to talk to them a little bit, like they really believe in the concept of let's just go find the best people and then trust them. And that can be a word salad sometimes. And you can
we have the Tim Conley thing to point to.
That is like the proof of concept of like,
yes,
they were talking to, Pat Riley about who is this guy? And like, they went and got him, and Glenn Taylor would have never done that. And they go in and like a lot of the success, all the guys we just talked about for the first 40 minutes of this pod are Tim Conley guys that he and Matt Lloyd and that front office found. So that's an example of it. And now on the business side, they got to do it again. They got to go find probably a permanent CEO that can be boots on the ground. Like you got to have someone there every day. But I think my biggest concern, because the new ownership thing, the syndrome was like impossible because they had the layaway plan was, 48 months. But I always remember the quote in football is like, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like a thing. And I was concerned about like, it's pretty rare for sports ownership. You have groups and all these minority partners, but like to have two heads basically. And this team, unlike a lot of other teams, has two owners or two governors, and getting to know how they work together. And they're kind of the yin and the yang. I mean, not to be cheesy, but like I think about, you don't really like doing pods by yourself because they're a lot of work. You know what I mean? You don't have someone to throw to or be like, hey, you said, like, I just noticed, like you said, TJ had 6 threes. It's like, actually he had 5. Like that yin and the yang of how they're going to work together. I think having a professional athlete, this is just how I think having a professional athlete to talk to professional athletes. I think Alex and Ant's relationship. I remember when Alex brought Ant as just a minority owner at the time to Miami to watch a playoff game before the Wolves were going to playoff games, and how much Ant loved it. And he, texted him tonight. He's like, hey, let's go again. And the learning about how important it is to be in good shape is something that I think Alex is going to give. And then Mark Lowry, man, because I haven't got to talk to him as much. I believe, I'll just put it this way, I believe that his number one priority is trying to clean up all the lame shit with fan experience. Yep. And there's a press release, right? And there was this new app, and we got to meet the guy from Jump, and I looked him in the face, and you know how blunt I am. I go, when I got that press release, I rolled my eyes because it's just another app that fans have to figure out and learn. And maybe there'll be egg on my face one day, but I came leaving that being like, can't wait to use it. Mm-hmm. Can't wait for you to have, down the road, an app that has hopefully everything in it, that you finally go to the Timberwolves app and you're not getting screwed over on tickets or fees, or, hey, I can't get to the game tonight. It's January 10th because my kids are sick. Can I resell them without getting fucked over? And I think Mark and his tech and all the stuff he did with Wonder, I think he is going to geek out over all that stuff. And he wants to make the basketball's already good. Mm-hmm. But how do you kept saying it, like, how many people haven't watched in the state of Minnesota Anthony Edwards play basketball, whether it be live or on TV? And that is a fucking issue. And they need to address that immediately. And I think they are going to do it.
I think the Red Bull's hitting you.
I'm ready.
No, in all seriousness,
that's like so.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and I do think that was I honestly forgot they were working on this ticket thing, because this has been in the work,
Yep.
this jump thing, and so we'll explain it to those of you if you didn't watch the press conference or whatever. I only know kind of the basics of it right now, but it's a whole new ticketing app, and the jump part of it is in the middle of the game. If there are open seats, you can pay additional money, but a discounted rate, to go jump up to a closer seat in the stadium, and maybe it's the second half, and you've been sitting up higher, and for $20 you can move down lower to be able to do that. That's innovative. I mean, obviously, like any sort of tech thing, I'm like, do I have some questions about how that like works exactly? Like,
do any of the ushers know this is going on right now?
Yeah, do they have to check out? But it's interesting, and it's more than anything, like, we'll see how it all works. But it's a representation of innovation, and yeah, it's a ARod-Lore thing. Like, we know a lot about Alex Rodriguez because he's Alex Rodriguez, and this is the Mark stuff. These are his pet projects, and this is the stuff that he's interested in and had a lot of success with. I mean, Wonder, his business, is kind of the idea, right? What is it, of making good food more available to people? It's like an Uber, Airbnb, those type of things that didn't exist previously. Like, I think Mark loves that stuff. Whereas, like, hey, this is a whole new thing that will make experiences better. And in this small example, make the fan experience better. And the bar isn't that high right now with Target Center and what it's been and how it's
app access.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not even super fluent on what that's all been like recently, but I know, talking to my friends and stuff who buy tickets, or friends who are season ticket holders, have real complaints about that. And if at a bare minimum it's going to be something different, I think it's something they're going to be really invested in maximizing. I think it'll be taken care of well. So even if there are issues, they'll be addressed quickly, and it's not a full season or like, oh, this ticketing app is terrible, or they're on FanDuel and the games only play once every 4 times or whatever. Like, I think they're going to jump on that stuff, which is, to be fair, I don't think you get a gold medal for doing that sort of stuff, but I think it will enhance the fan experience, and the just consuming the Timberwolves, I think, will get better and easier, and that's good news for everybody.
You mentioned the Suns earlier. When Matt Ishbia took over the Suns, different context, right? They kind of had to get someone in there at that time because the old owner was bad, kind of like the old Timberwolves owner. But he had a really good team, and he dug his fingers into it probably too soon and stuff. This team, again, the basketball product is really good. And I think, and they've said it to everyone, you and I and others, like national people, they're going to leave it alone, and they're going to invest. I mean, you had a lot of questions about, like, okay, it's your house now. You're on the bottom of the checks. Like, are you guys going to continue to invest in the roster and the salary and the payroll? And they've always been very transparent and answered those things with, like, yeah, like, we want to win. But I just geek out and care so much more about people that pay for League Pass and then can't watch the games. Or again, like that family that has 2 kids. It's like, we got 4 season tickets, and we've been a season ticket holder, my wife and I, for 16 years. And we get treated the same as the person who had season tickets for 1 year. You're like, I think they're going to completely revolutionize. And I also think they're going to make some mistakes. I think they're going to make some mistakes, and it'll be fascinating to see how they react to that. But,
and it's going to be a quick turnaround to next season. I mean, it gives me anxiety, but like, the season tips off in 3 months, right?
And again, they didn't just show up yesterday.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, the rebrand stuff is big for the fans. Like, they've got ideas, like they're working on stuff. And also too, to kind of bring it full circle with my limited Nike experience, that stuff takes a ton of time, and there's a ton of red tape. No more red tape than what I learned about. I've known that they want to dim the lights in the lower bowl of that shithole Target Center that we're talking about for a while now. They want to do that. I didn't know you had to talk to the city about it. Like, it's like there's red tape in place of, like, I think you got to meet with, like, the mayor and, like, figure out. So it's not a light switch. It's a little more detailed than that, I've been told.
Yeah.
So, but again, making that experience of, like, if you've ever been to Madison Square Garden or Staples Center, when the lower bowl is dimmed, it feels like a theatrical performance. Like, the product's really good. How do we emphasize so the product is really attainable and viewable for I mean, Mark asked about like how do we get younger fans in there, right? And I mentioned like the whole Lynx Kids Camp Day. Like that's probably not going to happen for the Wolves, but how do you get young kids even in the upper levels? Or that's how Jump started, right? When Alex Rodriguez was 12 at a baseball game, he saw that everyone listening to this has had this happen. And then when you see down in the rich seats, no one's sitting there, and me and my buddy are going to try to get down there and go. And that's kind of what Jump is. So I'm excited to see. But again, I thought it was cool when Mark asked before the media thing with us ended, he's like, you give us ideas, or like, what do you want us, or what do fans want? And before anyone could even, I just barked out like transparency. And I think that would be something too of like their relationship. They've tried really hard, I think, to build a relationship with the city and the community and be there. If they continue to work on that, I'll be happy, because there's still a lot of good with this team and organization. But I also think there's a lot of things that need to be modernized and fixed. And it starts with how do we get everyone in this state to watch the games?
Yeah, I'd never in a million years thought I would have done this many hours of podcasting on ownership. We've done a lot, but what in this process of getting to know people or just learning about it, I always knew ownership was important, but I have personally learned a lot of how much, goes into all of it. And I think I've learned how much of an impact it can have. And we're going to see that on the business side and the fan experience side. But we already have seen the impact of this ownership group in the past couple of years. It's the reason Tim Conley is here, which is the reason that Rudy Gobert is here, which is the reason Mike Conley is here, which is the reason they went to the Western Conference. I mean, not exclusively. They needed help around it. They're just doing a lot of right things. And, I'm looking around the league at some of these other teams that frankly have worse owners, worse GMs, and that competitive disadvantage is just, I think, if you have a bad owner that's not willing to pay the tax, New Orleans, Memphis, whatever's going on, like some of those teams, these other teams that are willing to spend and these other teams that have sharp ownerships, sharp front offices, those teams are going to eat them up. Like it's a war, and it's why the Wolves got eaten up. They were that team for like 20 years, and I just, for the first time ever, I feel like the Wolves like have the people in place to win in that capacity. And I think, I mean, me, like my main thing is like the basketball.
Yep.
And I've just learned that this really does connect to the basketball. And I think that's really encouraging thing.
And we've talked about it way too much tonight, and we've talked about it way too much for the last 4 years. But it also, I think the reason we do have to talk about it is because I don't think any of the first hour of this pod really matters if this stuff isn't figured out.
Right.
And on the college level, we love, my buddy Ryan and I, we love when a new Big Ten school has a brand new practice facility and they have all the motto and the mission and all their core visions on the wall in the weight room. We love that. But in the NBA, or I should say pro sports, we kind of like gloss over that. And as long as you have me on the pod, like I'm going to keep telling you about, I don't think the new ownership group is going to find one of the 10 starters, as Chris Finch might be calling them now, if they're on a road trip and they move items in their mini bar to put some Gatorades in there, which, by the way, it signals the thing and you've lifted them up and now you have to get charged for it. I don't think the new ownership group is going to make the players pay for that. I think they're going to try to be a world-class organization like the Vikings. And the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. And Vikings fans and Minnesota fans, they need that. But they have, as that survey comes out every year, they are A+ or A in all these other categories. Right. Fan experience, spouses, they don't, the Bengals, right? They make the players pay for food. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. So all of that stuff we'll probably start talking about less, because it is, to me, like it felt like closure yesterday. I think it felt like closure for those guys, but
for sure a new chapter, or like it did feel like we closed the book on this weird 4-year whatever it was.
I just don't think good organizations, pro sports, healthcare, educate, I don't think any of it can work if you don't have the right people in place at the top, if anything. And I think now they have new people in place. I believe that they're the right people in place, and it's going to be very fascinating. But I also think for them, and they know this too, like I think they want to be out of sight, out of mind a little bit more. Like, right. Tim, you run the basketball stuff, and person X, you run the business stuff, and we'll be on all the meetings. We'll have our fingers on it a little bit, but they've done it so far on the thing that matters the most. Building a good basketball team is way harder than building a good business side of it. But a lot of challenges still coming up for Mark and Alex.
I think we did it. You're heading home tomorrow. We got a couple pods.
You know, people I've talked to that I'm like, oh, when are you leaving? Like, oh, I'm here for the whole thing.
Crazy.
We try to give people a lot of advice. Again, I think it was 09, the Blake Griffin year. I had to look it up. But Summer League has changed so much. But as you always point out, it's also not changed. It's in the same building, and it's the same hot dogs that they're probably selling in 09. And if you're a young person, because I care about this stuff, like if you're a young person or you got a family, this is still, to me, like the greatest opportunity to come out and get kids. I mean, 3 different people got Ant's signature tonight on some viral moments, and those kids, whether they're wearing a Jamal Murray Nuggets jersey or whatever, they're all going to be diehard Anthony Edwards Timberwolves fans. And for the kids, or if you're someone trying to get into sports media and just connect, whatever, this is still the greatest opportunity that the NBA has.
Yeah, man, it's been a blast. I'm here for a couple more days, but for the podcast reasons, I think this will be our last pod that we do from Vegas. Probably do something once it all wraps up and do maybe another after games 3 and 4, or if they're in the tournament or whatever. We'll touch on it a little bit more, but this was fun. I think it was a loaded 3-4 days that we've been here of a lot of stuff going on, but it's this is also sort of at least for me, kind of like feels like a closing of a chapter on this year too. It doesn't feel like that long ago that we're in Oklahoma City, for the conference finals, and then the draft, and then free agency, and then summer league. And now it's kind of like, all right, like let everything that's just happened over the past few months, like download and, open it back up in the fall. And I'm excited for the fall, for the basketball reasons, for the ownership reasons, just to do it all over again. Cause this is a blast. And for me, this is one of my favorite weekends of the year.
We always try to close the last one we do, like what was your favorite jersey you saw? Who's a person you saw? I mean, I woke up today battered and bruised, but somehow played 18 holes with Jim Peterson in the 110-degree heat. So it was fun for me, but like, I don't know, was it the Al Jefferson old school jersey you saw, or was it me asking Mark Laurie about the Muskies? Like
that was weird. That didn't compute either.
What was your favorite thing? Or like, again, like, is it maybe just the ability to, this is like the NBA National Conference. Getting to see other people that were writing at SB Nation with me and you. Any fun lasting stories, or are you just ready to eat?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like Summer League, and I think it's a really, kind of for me in my networking in this space, in this industry, it all started here. And, like, I remember the first time I came and I was, like connected with Adam Mares, and we were both like just starting working in sports media. And, I saw him today, and he's like on this stage doing this big show and that big show. And I'm like, it's cool. Like a lot of cool things start here. Like I have some buddies who are on coaching staffs and stuff, and that journey started at Summer League for them as well. And then it's fun. I mean, it's a great way to spend time in Vegas. Like go to the gym all day, go out with people at night, and it's all of us basketball nerds, and we're talking about the East sucks, what all those different type of basketball conversations. So I love it. I don't have a
Eric Spoelstra running sprints next to me on the tread. Yesterday was to be 50, if I can be in that shape at that age, we'll have our own heat culture in my house.
Yeah, man, this was fun. Thank you. Thanks for coming out and doing these with me. And thank you guys for listening to Summer League podcasts. I hope they were entertaining, and we're not going away. We'll still more in July, August is where it really stops, calms down for us and stops for a while. But so I'm still excited to watch the rest of this Summer League. We'll be here with the pod. I think I'm gonna try and get Britt on next week after games 3 and 4, or Jace or something like that. So we'll keep talking about this team. I think these games are fun to watch. And probably until sometime next week, probably after the 4th game, we'll do another pod. But until then, he's Kyle. I'm Dane. Peace out.
How I'm feeling, man, I hope it never stop, yeah. Green and hot so you can find me in the crowd, yeah. Don't let standards ever bring you down, yeah.